And the nurse was like, she does not talk to me. She does not talk to Cheryl. She just don't talk to people anymore. She said, but as soon as you walk in, my mother be talking. I don't know what that is. You know, it's an energy, a spirit. I'm her firstborn. The doctors told my mother for many years that she couldn't have children. Back when my mom, in the 60s, if you didn't have children by like 19 or 20, people looked at you funny. If you weren't married with having babies by 19, 20, they started looking at you like, what's wrong with you? You gay? You what? So, but my mother couldn't, the doctors told, she went to like 3 specialists in Baltimore, Maryland, and was told she couldn't have children. And so she was 31 when she had me, just about 31. And 31 is normal now. Back then, having a baby, your first baby at 31, you was old. My parents were the oldest parents when I was growing up. Like, I never wanted my parents to come to my school and stuff because I was embarrassed because they were old in my mind, because they were compared to my, you know, my friends and stuff. Because back then in those times, people started having babies early. My mother couldn't have kids for a long time. And then she had me, magical. She never trusted, well, they didn't have all of the stuff they got now. You couldn't get, well, not unless you were rich or something. I don't even know if rich people could get in vitro and stuff. I don't think they had that stuff back then. So she just was like, all right, well, I got a lot of nieces and nephews, so I'm gonna roll with that. And one day she was about to leave my daddy. I know I've told this story a number of times, but some of you all are new. And since we family, you got to know about your family. And my mother tells this, she used to tell this story all the time. She was like, I was about to leave your daddy. They were 5 years in. The doctors told her, several doctors said, you can't have children. She's like, well, shit, well, I'm going to stay with this nigga if I can't have kids. So my mother was planning to move to California with her older brother, my Uncle Olin, who's deceased, my second dad. And she said when she started planning to move to California, she got sick. And when she got sick, the doctors told her she was pregnant with me and she could not move to California. And she stayed with my daddy and had me. And then 18 months later, she had my sister Cheryl. And then she said, I got my tubes tied after that because I was like, oh, I'm old and I'm just now getting stuck. So she got her tubes tied after having my sister and raised her girls with my dad. They raised us. So no matter what kind of marriage they had, meaning like I told y'all this, I was honest. I never saw my parents be in love. And my mom feels like being in love is not for her at that time of her life. She was just like, because when I used to be in love, my stomach was hurting. I was always crying and this and that. She's like, for the first 5 years of this marriage, I was in love. And I cried my eyes out over this nigga, your daddy, who did everything he wanted to do under the sun. She said, so I don't want no in love. She said, I love him and I don't want him to die. And just help me raise these kids and pay these bills. And that's what they did. My mom and dad were happy. They will be married. They will celebrate 66 years of marriage on June the 19th, God willing. They're both still here. 66 years. They've never broken up, never separated. I've never even seen, I've saw my parents at odds maybe one. I remember for sure one time, and I'm gonna tell y'all about that in my community. Everybody can't get this story. So I have I'm starting a community for Auntie Bomb. That's me, Auntie Bomb. Auntie Bomb, say it fast. Say Auntie Bomb fast. Auntie Bomb. So I have a community that I'm going to start, and I'm going to invite y'all to join my community, just in case these social media platforms act dumb and just shut down one day. We don't own none of this stuff. This ain't our stuff. I'm not talking to y'all on my platform. I mean, it is, but it ain't. But once I start my community of people, it's my community of people. So it won't matter what happens. Y'all can still keep in touch with me and hear my stories. But I do remember one distinct time when my parents were at odds. And that's a story for the community. Because I'm going to tell y'all the truth. I'm going to tell y'all what happened. I don't even know if my sister remembers. I'm going to see if she remembers it before I tell it. But she was planning to leave my dad. But she said, being in love, you be crying and be upset, this and that and the other. She said, no, I'm not in love with him, but I love him and I don't want him to die. And they stayed together and they raised us. My father, whatever he did in his outside activities, and I ain't here to talk about that today. My daddy never spent the night out, not one night, ever. My father was always at the dinner table with us. Always. My dad, whenever there was a family reunion or family anything, it was all of us. And of course, my mother used to, I'd be like, how much does this cost? That cost? She's like, I don't know. She's like, I don't pay none of this stuff. I don't even know. She's like, I don't even know the name of the mortgage company. I have no damn idea and don't care. Because my father was raised to understand that the man pays the bills. And so he did that. Whenever my mother needed a car or anything, my father made sure she had it. My dad fixed every single thing in the house. And if he couldn't fix it, somebody fixed it. So my mom, my mom was like, listen, when I used to get mad at my mother, sometimes being in grown folks' business and be like, why, we can leave him. Let's leave him. Let's leave him. She like, girl, for what? Why would I leave him? I picked a good daddy for y'all. And I like him. We have fun. He's my friend. He cool. I don't give a damn what he be doing. He pay these bills and he's a good dad. And I don't have to grow old by myself. She had a whole different mindset. Whole different. I wasn't around the first 5 years where she cried her eyes out. I know my dad must have put her through something. But after she had me, her focus changed. And she lived a happy life for the rest of the time she's been married. And if I ask her now she has dementia, but I got to catch her in the right zone. But she'll still, when I talk about this kind of stuff, she'll still tell me the truth. She'll be like, no, I'm not in love with him. I got videos, I'll show you. She'll be like, I love him, but I ain't in love with him. And she will be like, my kids is my life. And some people don't agree with that. Some people don't agree with, and yes, I read the word, and the word does say, once you become married, your spouse y'all become one, and your spouse is first. And I believe what God says, and I don't go against the Lord. So I can't speak for my mother. But the way I understand the word is, for my life, not for my mother, is because I've had divorces. So that means I have my kids have been step kids to my husband. And I'm sorry. I believe that when God said that in the word, he intended it for us to follow his word all the way through, meaning you get married first, then you have sex, then you have children. And in that scenario, your spouse comes before them kids that you all birthed together. But I don't believe God intended that for step parents, because God didn't, he ain't in that. He ain't in none of that. We be doing that. We get divorces and stuff. We do that. God's intent when he said the spouse comes first is when husband and wife marry, become one, they have children together. In that case, your spouse comes first. So in that case, my mother didn't agree with what the Lord said, because she was like, my kids come before my husband. I don't care what nobody say. For me, my kids come before any man, because they're not the biological father, and the biological father ain't my husband anymore. So when I remarried, my kids have to respect their stepfather. Absolutely. You better show respect, and you better listen to what he says, as long as he ain't telling you to do nothing, jump off the roof. But if I have to pick between my children and the husband that I chose, them kids didn't choose him. That ain't their daddy. My kids come first. Every time. Every time. And some married people not going to agree with that. And it's cool. It is cool. We still family. When I for the next husband that's going to be loading soon in my life, whenever that God wants that for me. Hear me, sir. My kids will come first until the day I die. Period. Point blank. And I mean that. Now, I have enough love now. Look, God created me special. You know, when you were the firstborn to a barren woman, you special. Go read about it. So I have enough love inside of me to have my kids be first, and still my husband in the future I'm speaking of, he not gonna feel no less love. He gonna feel like he's at the top of my list because I have enough to go around for everybody. But if somebody got to get pushed off of the bridge and it's one of my kids and my husband, I've shown, and I'm not saying that this is a flex, but I've shown, history has shown, I can get another husband. I've done that. My kids are my kids. I'm too old to have more kids, and I wouldn't want to replace the ones I have anyway. So if I'm ever put in a situation where I have to pick, the husband got to go. I get another one.